Today we're starting in the dark. Well, not that dark. We're going to Utah, into a cave system.
We're talking about spelunking. If you don't know what that is, look it up. If you are in any way claustrophobic, it is the worst thing ever. This is a real story. This is the story of John Edwards Jones and the Nutty Putty Cave. This has got to be the worst spelunking story ever. And if you're ever thinking of doing it, this might make you change your mind.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it. Nutty Putty Cave is located about 55 miles south of Salt Lake City, Utah. It's a narrow, twisting hydrothermal cave system popular with amateur cavers for its challenging squeezes and passages.
But it's not a tourist-friendly stroll. The cave is known for being tight, treacherous, and disorienting. At its narrowest points, you're not crawling, you're sliding through holes barely wider than your shoulders.
And by 2009, it already had an infamous reputation. In fact, the caves have been temporarily closed in the early 2000s due to prior rescue operations. Multiple people had gotten stuck before.
So, on November 24th, 2009, John Edward Jones, a 26-year-old medical student, entered the cave with his brother Josh and a group of family friends.
John wasn't new to caving. He'd explored caves as a kid with his father. This was meant to be a nostalgic trip, something to share with his brother before the holiday.
So they entered the Nutty Putty Cave in the evening. Around 8 p.m., John went ahead, exploring a narrow passage called the Birth Canal.
Yeah, but he didn't actually go into the birth canal.
No, he actually entered a different, unmapped, tighter passage, one that sloped downward head first.
Yeah. John squeezed forward, trying to find a wider area where he could turn around, but the further he went, the tighter it became, until suddenly he found himself stuck.
Upside down in a 10-inch wide space. With his arms pinned, unable to wriggle backward, his body was almost vertical, head pointed down at a 70-degree angle.
He tried to exhale to shift, but that just made it worse. His chest compressed. Panic began to set in.
But then Josh found him and tried to pull him free. Nothing worked, though. John was 270 feet into the cave, more than 100 feet below the surface.
Within hours, a massive rescue operation was underway. Dozens of rescuers from Utah's search and rescue team arrived. It was cold, cramped, and very slow.
So they rigged up a rope and pulley system to try and pull him back out. And at one point they managed to free several inches of his body.
But every movement hurt. Being upside down for that long was taking a toll. Blood was rushing to his head. His organs were under pressure.
A paramedic named Susie Matola reached him and stayed with him for hours. She prayed with him. She sang hymns. Just normal paramedic stuff, I guess. Yep. John was fully conscious, talking, hopeful, and in pain.
By 24 hours in, John had been upside down way too long. The human body isn't built for it. Blood pooling in his brain, heart struggling to pump.
Then, disaster.
He freed at some point in time today?
Freed is a relative term, Shauna. He was pulled back a little bit to a more comfortable position where he was in more of a horizontal position, but there was still 16 feet of that tight tunnel he was stuck in for him to get out of before he would be truly freed and be able to leave the cave. Now, a piece of equipment broke at that time. He has since slid back into that original position with his head down at a 60 or 70 degree angle, so a very uncomfortable spot, and rescuers very worried tonight.
A second pull attempt and anchor point failed. The rope system collapsed and John slid even deeper into the hole.
From that point on, rescuers couldn't reach him physically. His vitals were deteriorating and his communication slowed.
He spoke with his wife on a radio, and he had a young daughter and one on the way.
And then, sometime in the early morning hours of November 25th, John Edwards Jones passed away, still trapped 28 hours after he first got stuck.
Authorities made the heartbreaking decision. His body could not be recovered. It was too dangerous, too narrow. Any attempt could risk more lives.
So they did something almost unimaginable. They sealed the cave permanently, filling the passage with concrete, turning it into his tomb.
A plaque was placed at the entrance to honor his memory. Nutty Putty Cave is now closed to the public forever.
John's story has been told in news reports, books, and even a movie. But it's not just a cautionary tale, it's a tragedy of time, space, and the limits of a rescue.
So John was a husband, a father, and an explorer. And
on the way.
he didn't go into this cave expecting to die.
No, but he went in, and unfortunately, he never came out. It's a cautionary tale. And I guarantee you will never, ever, ever, ever catch me spelunking. Ever. I don't know about you. I'm not doing it.
We'd pull you out, Dave.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.